All right, we are in downtown Portland, and we are going to do a terrible history trivia quiz. Let's talk to some people. All right, we are doing terrible history trivia today. So, first question on our terrible history trivia quiz. In 1492, which famous explorer committed genocide against the native population?
It's going to be Christopher Columbus.
That is absolutely right. Christopher Columbus did in fact commit genocide. All right. All right, we are doing some terrible history trivia today. First question for you. In 1492, which famous explorer committed genocide against the native population he encountered?
Oh, Christopher Columbus?
Absolutely, you got the first one right. He committed genocide against the native people he encountered. Yep, pretty messed up. So in 1492, which famous explorer committed genocide against the native population he encountered?
Give me a choice.
It's 1492. Someone sailed the ocean blue.
1492, I was not even a genetic probability yet. I was born and raised in Singapore. Okay, so good. Next question.
Yeah, the answer to that was Christopher Columbus.
Oh, he actually copied the Chinese. He stole the map from the Chinese and he came here.
That is not surprising. Yeah, he was not a good person.
Probably everybody is not a perfect person, but yes, you can say that he leans more towards the not so nice type of person.
Absolutely. All right, so we're doing a quick terrible history trivia challenge, going over terrible history and whatnot. You get a quarter for participating and $1 for every 5 questions that you get right. Awesome. Okay, so question number 1. In 1492, which famous explorer committed genocide against the native population he encountered?
Are you talking about Columbus?
We are indeed. You got one right.
There was a couple genocides during that time period.
Yeah.
But
But, you know,
the most well known.
yeah, but of course, 1492. So,
Coming from a very Eurocentric perspective, then that would make sense.
question number 2. Which country put down rebellions over taxation in both 1786 and 1791?
Oh gosh, I'm going to say the United States. What?
That is correct. Specifically, Shays Rebellion and the Whiskey Rebellion. Question number 2. Which country put down rebellions over taxation in both 1786 and 1791?
England?
The United States, actually.
Oh.
Yep, specifically Shays Rebellion and the Whiskey Rebellion, which was the only time that a sitting president led troops into battle. So let's see. Okay, next question for you. Which country put down rebellions over taxation in 1786 and 1791?
Britain.
It was the United States, actually. It was Shays Rebellion and the Whiskey Rebellion.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep, and the only time that a sitting president, Washington, led troops into battle. All right. Which country put down rebellions over taxation in both 1786 and 1791?
The U.S., England, France, Denmark, and Spain.
Specifically, we were talking about Shays Rebellion and the Whiskey Rebellion. So the United States. You got that one right, too. All right. Which country abolished slavery in 1807?
That the U.S. as well, or?
Nope, that was in fact England who abolished slavery
I think that was way too early.
58 years before the United States. Which country abolished slavery in 1807?
Spain?
England, actually. And that was 58 years before the United States abolished slavery. All right, which country abolished slavery in 1807?
USA.
England, actually. The United States abolished slavery 58 years later.
That's correct.
Yep. All right. Which country abolished slavery in 1807?
In 1807, Abolished? Are you talking about like completely ended it? I feel like it didn't really end until like the 1900s. It was like introduced, but the concept wasn't.
Chattel slavery.
Well, I would wish it would be the U.S., but it's most likely probably France or. I have no idea.
It is specifically England, actually, and they abolished slavery 58 years before the United States did.
That's right, because they
Yep.
invented capitalism instead. My bad.
Yep, exactly. They paid people and bought out all of the slave owners. All right. In 1898, which colonial power bought the Philippines from Spain for 20 million?
20 million. Is that the U.S. as well?
That was also the United States. Yep. Now, in 1898, which colonial power bought the Philippines from Spain for 20 million?
England.
It was the United States, actually. Yep. In 1898, which colonial power bought the Philippines from Spain for 20 million?
America.
That is correct. The United States absolutely did that.
Born and raised, so I should know. Okay, good.
All right, let's see. In 1898, which colonial power bought the Philippines from Spain for $20 million?
The Philippines from Spain. Was it not the U.S.?
I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Because it was the Spanish, and then they just recently got their independence. I'll just say the U.S.
You got that one right. All right, in 1921, which country had an armed mob destroy a minority community of over 10,000 people with hundreds dead?
Oh gosh, 1921. I don't know that one.
That one is also the United States, specifically the Tulsa Race Massacre in Oklahoma, with over 300 dead, 800 injured, and 10,000 people displaced. Many people only learned about it recently from the Watchmen show.
Oh.
Yep. In 1921, which country had an armed mob destroy a minority community of over 10,000 people with hundreds dead?
What? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so in 1921, which country had an armed mob destroy a minority community of over 10,000 people?
The United States. Tulsa City.
Absolutely, you got that one right. And the Tulsa Race Massacre, which most people only learned about recently from the Watchmen show.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So in 1921, which country had an armed mob destroy a black minority community with over 10,000 people?
America.
That is correct. It was the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Correct.
Yep. So I believe that is 4 questions right so far. All right. In 1921, which country had an armed mob destroy a minority community of over 10,000 people with hundreds dead?
What country? Oh, the U.S.
Yep. All right, that's 5 right so far. Let's see. Yep, specifically the.
Okay, so police, but we're still actually doing it. So
Yeah.
it's paid by the state.
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Yeah, the Portland police are the worst. Yeah, no. Specifically, we're talking about the Tulsa Race Massacre, which a lot of people didn't even know about until the recent Watchmen series. Yeah, no, that's how a lot of people found out about that. All right, so from 1929 to 1939, which country deported an estimated 2 million people based on race alone?
Sounds like the U.S. to me.
It was, in fact, the United States. The Mexican repatriation deported an estimated 350,000 to 2 million people. Records are a little sketchy. People of Mexican descent, with an estimated 40 to 60% being birthright citizens, mostly children. All right. From 1929 to 1939, which country deported an estimated 2 million people based on race alone?
Oh. I have no idea. I'm not sure.
It's the United States again. It was the Mexican repatriation deported an estimated 355,000 to 2 million people. Records are a little sketchy. Of people of Mexican descent, with an estimated 40 to 60% being children who were born in the United States and had citizenship.
Not surprised.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Let's see. From 1929 to 1939, which country deported an estimated 2 million people based on race?
USA.
That is also correct.
That I don't want to lean left or right, but that's just to the best of the knowledge to keep peace. They do that. I'm not trying to vie for them, but if you look closely in history, to the best of society, they have to do something. So that was the best they can come up with. Today, the best we can come up with is talk on television like that. Some years later, we don't have to. We just talk on the road and road record for us. So anyway, good. Next.
Yep, next question. Yeah, let's see, next question. From 1929 to 1939, which country deported an estimated 2 million people based on race?
Oh, definitely the U.S., and that still hasn't stopped yet.
Yep, that is exactly correct. The Mexican repatriation deported an estimated 355,000 to 2 million people of Mexican descent, with about 40 to 60% being birthright citizens, mostly children.
Yeah, I mean, we were
Yeah.
still doing that during my high school graduation. The Border Patrol, ICE, was there as we walked off stage with our diplomas in hand asking if we had our papers.
That's so messed up.
These days, like, we are still, pulling people over and asking them based upon the color of their skin if they're a U.S. citizen and then putting them in cages.
It's fucked up, indeed. In 1932, which country intentionally experimented on people with syphilis in order to study the effects?
Yet again, I'm gonna guess the U.S.
It is also the United States. Yep. All right. Specifically the Tuskegee experiments. In 1932, which country intentionally experimented on people with syphilis in order to study its effects?
United States.
That is correct. Specifically the Tuskegee experiments. So next question. In 1932, which country intentionally experimented on people with syphilis in order to study the effects?
It's America.
That is correct. The United States.
Not collectively, the country, just some of the individuals who are really kind of gung-ho about experimenting for some causes of their own selfish religion. So they do that. It's not a collective society thing. It's only a small sector.
Absolutely. It was a number of people in the government. Yeah.
We need to hang out of them. That's my opinion. You need to catch them and hang them. Make them accountable. When you make people accountable, this kind of thing goes away. If nobody's held accountable, the thing just keep repeat itself. So history repeats because people don't being held accountable.
Absolutely. In 1932, which country intentionally experimented on people with syphilis in order to study the effects?
That would be the U.S. and Germany, and that was funded by a couple pharmaceutical companies that are still in power, leading.
That is exactly correct. In 1942, which country imprisoned over 120,000 people based solely on their race?
1932? Was that the... Or,
1932.
I'm gonna say... Is that Germany?
Germany did as well, but in this specific instance, we are looking for the U.S. is the answer. Specifically, the Japanese internment camps. Yep. So, all right. In 1942, which country imprisoned over 120,000 people based solely on their race alone?
Germany?
Yes, but they actually did a lot more than that. We're specifically talking about the Japanese internment camps. It was the United States again. Yep. Hey, no worries. There's a lot of terrible history here. A lot of racist countries. All right, next question. In 1942, which country imprisoned over 120,000 people based solely on their race alone?
America.
That is correct.
That's based on ignorance and fear. Okay, good. Next.
Yep, absolutely.
You cannot Generalize things.
Yep. Yeah, it was the Japanese internment camps. So let's see. All right. In 1942, which country imprisoned over 120,000 people based solely on their race?
That would be also the U.S. and Japan, the U.S. on the Japanese people, the Asian minorities. A lot of people weren't even of Japanese descent. Some people went in solidarity with the Japanese, even though that they were fighting, and immigrated legally. And then there's also, what happened in Germany as well as Eastern Europe at that time period.
That is also, sadly, exactly correct. In 1953 to 1973, which country performed illegal experiments on its people in order to study the effects of LSD?
Oh, that's definitely the U.S.
Absolutely. It was the CIA, MK Ultra. So, in 1942, nope, that was the same one. In 1953 to 1973, which country performed illegal experiments on its people in order to study the effects of LSD?
The United States.
Yep, that is correct. Specifically, the CIA with Project MK Ultra. Next question. From 1953 to 1973, which country performed illegal experiments on its people in order to study the effects of LSD?
America. That's purely for some experimental interest, based mostly from driven objective of academia, stating what they could get out of it, and then they sold it as a movement to the general population through the media. So some sector of the population bought it and say, this is a good thing, but actually it's not.
Yep, it was the CIA that experimented on people. Absolutely correct. Next question. From 1953 to 1973, which country performed illegal experiments on its people in order to study the effects of LSD?
That would be the U.S., but also during that time period, there was a lot of illegal experiments done on the First Nations up in Canada. So.
That is exactly correct again. You definitely know your history. All right, last question for you. Yeah, and specifically the one with the U.S. was MK Ultra. Good old CIA experimenting inside the borders of the United States when they're not supposed to. It's...
At least they're doing it inside of the U.S. instead of outside of the U.S. on the global south. So at least we're doing, things within our own boundaries instead of continuously expropriating and objectifying the global south. So
that's a very good point. Last question for you. From 1985 to 1987, which country illegally sold weapons to Iran to fund terrorism?
That's another U.S. one for us.
Yep, absolutely. Last question for you. From 1985 to 1987, which country illegally sold weapons to Iran to fund terrorism?
Oh, the United States.
Absolutely, it was the Iran-Contra scandal, where technically Reagan committed high treason. Yeah.
And then he came in to be the hero by saving, 40 POWs or whatever?
Yes. Yeah, it was the Iranian hostage crisis, which very much made it so that Jimmy Carter didn't get elected. All right, last question for you. From 1985 to 1987, which country illegally sold weapons to Iran to fund terrorism?
That was a individual. America did it under the brand name America, but actually there was an operation run by several people. One of the key individuals is Colonel Oliver North. Wanted to use some way to fund some of the resistance in Central America. So they don't have a budget, so they figure out a way, this is a way to make some money, sorry. So anyway, that's done, and I think they paid a price for it. Not everybody pay a price, but the key individual pays some price. That's good.
Yep, that is absolutely correct. And now Oliver North works for Fox News.
Correct. Oliver North is hired for Fox News, not to say one way or another, it's just that his opinion leans towards right or center. So Fox News have a collection of right or center, left or center, so that they want to market themselves as a neutral and balanced platform. So they have to have both. Okay.
Last question for you. From 1985 to 1987, which country illegally sold weapons to Iran to fund terrorism?
Oh goodness, would that be the U.S.?
You are right again. Now, if you couldn't tell, our theme for Terrible History today is the United States. Yep. And because you got, I believe, 8 questions correct, you get $1.25. We're kind of going with a George Washington theme here. Now, a fun fact about George Washington. Did you know that his false teeth were not only ivory and wood, but also made out of slave teeth? Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So, let's see. How many questions? 4? Okay. Well,
I'm okay with that.
no, it's cool. We actually are doing a quarter for everyone just for participating. Kind of a George Washington theme here. Now, fun little fact about George Washington. Did you know that his dentures were not just made out of wood and ivory, but also slave teeth specifically? Yep. Here you go.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much for your time. Absolutely. Those are the questions, and I believe you got 5 of them right. That's cool. Yeah, so we are doing $1 for every 5 questions you get right, and a quarter for participating. So here is $1.25. And fun fact about George Washington there, his teeth were not only made out of wood and ivory, but also slave teeth.
That small detail need a lot of digging to find out, but actually you did enough to find out that it's that small detail. It's not something that you can read anywhere. You really have to dig very deep, and I'm sure you have dug very deep to get that, huh? Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, I made some money. Sorry, don't record that because.
No worries. Thank you very much for participating, sir.
You want some? Oh, no. No, you sure? Okay, I'm gonna get ice cream.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. Have a good day.
Yep, bye-bye.
Now, if you couldn't tell, our theme for today's Terrible History Trivia is, in fact, the United States. Yeah. Cool. Well, those are the questions we got for you. You got 9 of them right, so let me...
You know, I really hope that people are able to make better decisions, because it's like, yes, our government does bad things, but they are only empowered to do bad things because people don't say anything, you know? Like, it's the silent people. Hannah Arendt, do you remember Hannah Arendt? She'd had this really wonderful concept called the banality of evil. Like, evil doesn't actually exist. The U.S. isn't exactly evil. What is truly evil are the people who sit around and do nothing, who are apathetic, who would rather, you know, Netflix and chill, instead of like actually going forward and facing a lot of the difficulties we have now. The only reason why anti-fascists are still fighting fascism is because it's been over a century that we still haven't like nipped that in the butt. So maybe a little bit more passion involved within how we engage with the history that we're living in would be wonderful. Thanks.
Absolutely. And here is your prize. Let's see. $1.25 going for a George Washington theme. And fun extra fact, did you know that George Washington's dentures were not just made out of wood and ivory, they were also made out of slave teeth?
Not surprised, unfortunately. May we create a better future.
Thank you very much for your time.
Ciao. Thanks.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes